great show for you guys today. We've got the hottest new band from Mumbai, Goddess Gang, on the show, and we're making them a modern quiche, which is basically a delicious quiche with lots of cheese and bacon and ham. That's going to be good. And the most important thing to remember is make sure all your ingredients are cold, because you don't want the butter to melt, you need it to be cold. What I'm going to do is make the pastry dough using the food processor. Normally these things are made by hand, but I just find it much more convenient to do it in the food processor. So let's go make that dough now. Flour, butter, blitz. Make sure it's nice and coarse. Add cold water, 1 tablespoon vinegar, a pinch of salt. Blitz! It should look something like this, and now we take this out in a bowl. Ideally you'd like to work on a marble or a granite surface to keep the temperature cool, but I don't really have that option right now, so I'm removing everything in a bowl. So we've got everything out, and now you just got to slowly bring it all together. And this is actually very similar to making your chapati atta or any other kind of dough that you make. You just got to make sure everything is cold here. I stress on cold repeatedly. Shape it into a disc almost. And what we're going to do now is put this in some cling film and put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes before you use it. That goes into the fridge for about 30 minutes. So our dough has been in the freezer for about half an hour and is ready to use now. And make sure you flour up your work surface. Now you ideally want to do this over a marble or a granite surface where it's nice and cool and the temperature is maintained. I unfortunately am doing this on a glass surface, so hopefully it will go off well. And I'm also using a chapati baler because I haven't had the time to upgrade to a nice long wooden rolling pin. But let's hope it comes out okay either which way. You want to make sure that you don't roll this out too thick. Keep it about a quarter of an inch, half an inch maybe, depending on how thick you like your crust to be. So that's about big enough for our pie crust, for our dish. So what we're going to do is, going to pull back the dough onto your rolling pin. Roll it back like that. For our pie dish here, just gently roll that over. There you go. Make sure it fits in nicely. And then you want to cut off the excess on the sides. There you have it. So the pie crust is kind of ready. Now what we need to do is pre-bake this so that you get the inside of it to cook, and that when you cook it with the quiche filling, it becomes nice and crisp. So what we're going to do is, we're going to bake this now, pre-bake this, and have a few tips and tricks to keep in mind. What you need to do is poke holes in the bottom so that the pastry doesn't rise up. So make sure you poke a fair amount of holes with a fork. Just don't fork it up, okay? And we're going to take some baking paper, put that down in the center, and put some beans, any kind of beans, or you can even put another dish. The idea is to stop the pastry from rising up, so this will do the job. This goes in the oven for about 15 minutes at about 190 degrees, and then you remove the beans and bake it for another 5 minutes at about 170 degrees Celsius. Now it's time to make the filling for our quiche. We're going to start by using 3 eggs. And to this, we're then going to add about 200 mils of cream, fresh cream. You can use low-fat cream, or you can even use some milk if you want to avoid the fat content. But I prefer to use the cream. It's more tasty, it's delicious, it's rich. About a pinch of pepper and a pinch of salt. Now because we're going to be using bacon, I'm not going to add too much salt. However, if you are going to be using chicken or any less salty meats or some vegetables even, you can add a little more salt to your dish. Next up, we're going to add the cheese. So we're going to pour in the cheese now. So add in some mushrooms. So we add some of that delicious bacon. And this is delicious royal ham that I like to use. And then I'm going to add some Italian seasoning just to give it a little bit more flavor. You can additionally add any kind of herbs or seasonings that you enjoy. Most quiches generally add a little bit of nutmeg and that's about it. But I'm using some of the Italian seasoning because I like the flavor that it gives the quiche. And now we're just going to whisk all this stuff together. Just whisking everything together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill the quiche with this mixture. What we're going to do is take our pre-baked base and put our filling in that. So pour in all that lovely goodness. And make sure that you spread it around evenly. And now it's ready to go in the oven. Now that our quiche is in the oven, we're going to let it cook at 200 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes. And make sure you preheat your oven. And there you have it. Our modern quiche is ready. And it's a lovely golden brown and you can see all those delicious bits of mushroom, bacon and ham in there. This is just delicious.